Most of the work I do can be very simple, consisting of one key light, two cameras, and a lav mic. And sometimes the shoots can get a little bit more complex. So in this video, I'm going to go over two different projects that I recently had. One a bit simpler and another one a bit more complex. For the majority of the work I do, it's a very simplistic approach consisting of one key light, two cameras, and either a lav or a boom. I typically try to do the boom mic, but oftentimes, especially in today's social media world, the client either doesn't care for it or there just isn't enough time because there's such a run and gun mentality in today's filming world, and that's just extra time for setup, and they don't have that. So most of the time I'll try to go with a lav mic. For this shoot, it was nice because he had a backdrop of his company behind him, and so all I had to do was, again, pop my key light on him. And one of the things I'll always do is I'll try to pull the subject away from the wall or away from the backdrop, as like not as far as I can, but like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 feet, 3 feet, depending on, how large the backdrop is, the lens I'm using, and stuff like that. There are two reasons why I do that. Number one, by pulling them away from the wall, you are eliminating any chance for them to cast a shadow onto the backdrop because of your key light. If they're too close to the wall, then they are going to cast a shadow and it's just not going to look nice. It's going to be distracting. So you pull them away and that eliminates the shadow. The second reason is because if you are shooting with a decent lens, 2.8 or whatever, you will blur that background out a little bit and just add a little bit of a nicer look to the shot. You'll blur out the background. Clients love blurring out the background, and it'll just look a bit more professional. It'll look more high quality. So those are the two reasons why I pulled my subjects away from the backdrop. The other thing is I'll try to get my key light as close to this person as I possibly can. If I'm shooting vertically, then I can get it even closer. For this subject, for this shoot, we were shooting horizontally, so I got it as close as I could to my subject while still keeping the light out of frame. And for 99% of the work I do, I will use these lights. These are the ML100 buys by Godox. I have two of these. I'm using one to light myself right now, and the reason why I use these is because, I mean, look at the size of them. They're so small. They're V-mount powered. They don't have any internal batteries, but you can power them with a V-mount battery. It makes the run and gun aspect of filmmaking way faster, and you don't have to worry about cables, right? So it's just a faster setup and it's less intrusive. There's no risk of tripping over cables and stuff. So I'll leave a link to this below, but definitely a great light to have. These are simpler shoots that I have. A lot of the shoots will have just that, where I only need a key light. I don't need anything else. Other times I will be brought into shoots that require a bit more equipment, and that's what this second project consisted of. This project was for a local dentistry. It was for a client that was directing it from New Jersey, right? And so one of the things I had to do was find a way to have him see the feed of the cameras from where he was. And the way I was able to do that is to have an HDMI cable going from my camera to my computer, and it was connected with an HDMI capture card. And they're not very expensive. I mean, what is it, like $10 or something on Amazon? You can get a decent capture card for $10, $10-15 on the lower end. If you really want to go all out, you can get the Elgato series, which is, how much is that? Camera Link, Elgato, those are like $50-80. But for the line of work that I do, that did the trick. So he was able to see the feed, and we were able to build the shot from there. On a shoot that requires a bit more equipment, and the reason why it required a bit more equipment is because we were shooting with a window in the background and we were battling a bit of sunlight. Now, the good news is that there was already a tint on the window. That's just how the office is normally. And so because of that, it was able to battle some of the sunlight that was bouncing into the room. But there was still some sunlight that we had to compensate for. In order to make the room less contrasty, I had to bring in one of my bigger lights, which was the SL200, also by Godox, and I put a softbox on it and just bounced it into the wall, and we had to finesse it a little bit to get it positioned right and get the look just right. But that helped kind of even out the room a little bit more. Then we also popped in a fill light, which was just a tube light that just brought a bit more light onto the contrasty side of their face. It didn't look as contrasty. Again, we were going for a bit of a higher key look on this project. And then finally, just to battle a bit more of the sunlight that was spilling in, later on in the day, I popped my giant negative fill up into the wall to just block out as much of the sunlight that I could, especially from the top, because you can see that part of the window was not tinted. And so I just kind of wanted to block some of that light, because if I didn't, then it was kind of hitting her on the side of the head and it just didn't look natural. It didn't look nice. So we were able to make it work. One of the other best investments that you can make for content days like this, whether they're simpler like the first day or more advanced like this one, is investing in a teleprompter setup. Teleprompters are so game changing when you're trying to have your subject say lines to the camera and they're just unable to riff on their own. Sometimes you'll have people that can just talk and like just completely improv and like deliver what they need to. Oftentimes, you will have clients that need a little bit of guidance or just straight up need a teleprompter. If you're able to get one into your kit, I can't recommend them enough. They are not expensive. You can get a decent one for $100. And if you have an iPad or anything, you can get an app that I use. It's called PromptSmart. And that app allows you to control the iPad from a computer. It follows the person's voice, so that way the teleprompter moves to their exact movement. It doesn't scroll. And when you're filming in a tight room like this, you don't have to constantly reach around and try to get the teleprompter back to where it was. You're able to just adjust the position right from the computer. So that combination is absolutely crucial for the kind of work that I do, a teleprompter and a good teleprompter app. The other thing I mentioned before is that I will always bring 2 cameras to every project, even if the project only asks for 1 camera. I always have 2 cameras on me. Number one, sometimes the client changes their mind and they decide, you know what, yeah, let's get a second camera on there. And number 2, God forbid one of your cameras poops out on you and you need to use a backup camera. And so you have one. And so you're still able to work with the project. But the reason why I like working with 2 cameras is because it gives the editing team a second angle to cut to, so that way the testimonials or the interviews or whatever just come out more seamless, because they're able to take out the ums and the flubs and the pauses and just switch between 2 different angles, right? So having 2 cameras, just makes the whole process easier. Oh, and you can also see that I was using a boom mic for this one. We had more time for this project, and it was a specific request from the client himself, and I totally get it. He didn't want to see the lav mic on his subject, so we were able to use a boom mic for this project. And I also had him on my phone via WhatsApp so that he was able to interview the subjects himself, which is great, because if the director is overseas or if the director is not able to be there themselves, I still think it's important that they are able to ask the questions that they want, especially if I'm not the one editing the project, because they have a better understanding of what they want their clients to say, what they want to be mentioned in the testimonials or the interview. So when they're able to direct the conversation and get the answers they want, that's way better than me just trying to guess and figure out what could be useful. I can do that, but it's way better if the director themselves are able to do it. And so having them on WhatsApp, having them on Zoom, interacting with the clients themselves, I'd much rather do that approach. On this project, sometimes the clients have employees that might not be aware that they're going to be on camera. They might be open to being on camera, but they might not be aware that they were going to be on camera that day. Or maybe the client just kind of shot them a heads up, hey, they're going to be filming stuff today, just so you know. And so when they're willing to be in front of the camera at such a last minute, having a teleprompter is, again, very crucial, because they might not have any idea of like what to say, what the content is talking about. If you're replicating TikTok content or Instagram content for the client, they have no direction. They have no idea what to say. And so with the teleprompter app I have, I'm able to take all the scripts, copy, paste them into the teleprompter app. I do it on my laptop. It syncs up with my iPad. I'm able to pop the iPad on the teleprompter. The scripts are ready to go, and they can just kind of blaze through them really quickly, and you have that talking head content before you transition to the B-roll. And so for me, a teleprompter, again, has been a huge lifesaver in time and frustration when it comes to shooting this kind of content. And so, yeah, guys, that's a quick rundown of my approach and the equipment I use to simple content creation days and then more complex content creation days. If I sparked any thoughts in your head, leave them in the comments below, or maybe if you have any questions that maybe I could provide some more clarification, let me know. I'm glad I was able to get this video out before NAB. Still pumped about that. Most likely going to make a video on it, share my thoughts with you guys, and otherwise, I'm just always happy to share my experience and my journey with you guys. And as always, I appreciate you for watching. I'm going to leave it here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy filming.